Welcome to Tattoo Tabletop. My name is James, and today we are going to talk about Spearhead, the Fire and Jade Ace, basically the AOS casual play for Age of Sigmar. Hence the AOS part. This intro is already botched. Today, we're going to talk about Fire and Jade. We're going to talk about Spearhead because I finally got to play some. About time I finally got to play last night. I went over to my friendly local game store, The Forge, and I finally got some games and with some other people who were interested. First of all, the very first heartening fact about Spearhead that came up was that of the players that were there, about half of them were coming from 40k, having never played AOS, but hearing about Spearhead, hearing about 4th edition, and we're actually really excited to get into the new edition, so that already is just big win. Love that. So that was really awesome to see, and they really loved it because we're going to talk about a couple different things about Spearhead and my thoughts about them, but this is going to be nice, short, to the point, so let's get into it with number one. So for number one has to do with the first part of that I had mentioned, where a lot of the players that were there yesterday were 40k players. Now, what does Spearhead do? It does a great job teaching you the core concepts of how AOS works. Now, obviously, coming from 40k to AOS or AOS to 40k, there are some concepts that are going to translate. Your to hit rolls, etc., etc. There are things that are in common. However, the two games do play very differently. They're both Games Workshop systems, but they play differently. It was really awesome to engage with other people who had played 40k, and as someone who had played 40k but had been primarily playing AOS, it was really cool to see how comfortable they were going from 40k to Age of Sigmar. That's always bodes well for a game. If your rule systems are easily picked up by even the other half of your demographic, the other half of your demographic is probably the best word for it. If that rule system is easy to pick up, that means the translation of the rules is simple and effective. So for number one, big win. It teaches you the core concepts really, really well, and that is a huge win in Spearhead's book. Number two, these games were fast and easy to understand. So obviously the easy part ties into that first part, but the games were actually pretty fast. I was wrapping up games in about 30 to 40 minutes. They moved really quickly. Once you understood the system and once you understood the rules, games were easy to go through. Now, this is important because here's one thing that this book has that 40k does not have. This is what Combat Patrol should have probably been, but you can clearly tell that the rules writers actually spent a good amount of time on Spearhead, Q&A'ing it, actually playing it, making sure that the rule set was somewhat related to the 2,000 points, but also relieving some of the burden. Specifically, a lot of your commands are based on the cards you draw. Instead of trying to maintain command management, like command points or stuff like that, they relieve you of that burden in the fact that you draw 3 cards, and you can either score 3 of those points, or you can save some of them to use their special commands. That's huge. That's important. That's going to make it easier for other people who don't play tabletop games to actually pick this up and make it feel more like a board game, which in turn is going to make them more interested. They're going to feel a diversity of play, and they're going to want to potentially get further into the hobby with you. That's the whole point of these games, is not just to be hey, I want to play Warhammer, but I want to do it really quickly, but also because I want to play Warhammer to show you because this is something that I think is really cool, I think you will like, and then they actually do, and they actually join you, and before you know it, you got a friend or you got a coworker or an acquaintance who's coming out to these Warhammer nights, and that's a huge step forward because anything that brings more people into the hobby, I think, is freaking awesome. Number 3. Now, this one is for the friendly local game stores, because I know that my friendly local game store, The Forge, definitely agrees. The fact that these games are nice, quick, concise, but also competitive means that there can actually be a club night, a actual Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead night. Now, you can have those nights at your friendly local game store, but they don't run like Magic the Gathering tournaments or any of those other card-based games where you can get in 2 to 3 games, have prize support, it's good money for the store. This is going to be that. This is a solution to that. You're going to be able to get in 2 to 3 games. You're going to be able to set up a tournament-based system with points, the whole 9 yards, and there can be prize support. There can be a lot more community interaction. This is actually going to be great. Now, I know some people might have complaints about, it's just the Vanguard box or just the Spearhead box, but the low barrier to entry does not mean lack of diversity. There are different command traits. There are different, artifacts that you can take for your general. There are ways to shake it up. But the other thing that changes with it is the game is dynamic enough where each gameplay is going to be different. You might have a just flat out strategy locked in your head, like, oh, well, I'm just going to move this unit here and then I'm going to do this. And you think that you're going to be stuck in that same cycle. That is not the case. Because you're going to have those cards, it's going to change the scenario, change how you move your units, how you operate with your units. Even though you're using the same units, you're going to yield different results. And that is awesome. That means that it's going to grow further. And not to mention, this Fire and Jade, and as I understand it, this is one book, which means that this could be one season, which means that later, if there are other factions added, or maybe they change their Spearhead book, or their Spearhead models, then you can come up with another book that has a whole new set of rules, a whole new way to play. I mean, some people might see that as money grow. I think it's awesome. I honestly, genuinely love this book. This is so awesome. I was genuinely blown away by how smooth the gameplay was, how much fun I was having, and how easy it was to play multiple matches in the evening, so that you can engage with the rest of the audience. You're not just playing one long 3-hour game and then just being like, all right, guess that's the night. No, there's actually going to be decent event support, and I'm very, very excited to see that, because we are seeing Spearhead events actually popping up at major events. I believe there's going to be one at LVO. There's going to be other ones at the Frontline Gaming events. This is awesome. This is another event that they can add to the repertoire, and if people really, really like the smaller version of this, they can play this. If they like the bigger version, they can play the 2,000 points. Everybody's got an option. Everybody's got a competition. It's good for the game. So I thought I'd save this section for final thoughts. As you can gather from the other 3 points I had earlier, I love this. I was so genuinely blown away by how much fun I was having, and not even just how much fun I was having, but how much fun other people were. You could see how much people really enjoyed it, and specifically one of the guys that I know, Dylan, who was playing with Skaven. These were his first Age of Sigmar models, and I could tell he was having fun with it. He was laughing along with his bad dice rolls. He was loving his good dice rolls, and we were learning together. We were playing a fun game, and it was just so engaging to have those little skirmish level events where you're playing this game a few times, and each time you're playing it, it's a different game. You're not doing the same thing. I could see him learning new strategies, but also as someone who's been playing a lot of 40k, I could see him really enjoying Age of Sigmar, which is awesome, because I feel like Age of Sigmar has gotten a lot of crap from the community. There are people who leave comments like, ew, Sigmar, or gross. Hey, talking statue tabletop here. Having that kind of game elitism might be fun for you for a little bit, but I'm just going to let you know right now, people like what they like, and it's not like that these games are aggressively different. Your demons in 40k are your demons in Age of Sigmar. Maybe they're divided up a little bit differently, but you got your 4 Chaos Gods. You got a bunch of other cool models, and regardless of what anyone thinks, most people tend to agree between 40k and Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar tends to have the cooler models. I know, because I have massive shelves over my left and right shoulder showing you that they have really good models. I thoroughly enjoy both. I think everyone can enjoy both. They can enjoy one, they can enjoy the other, and they can do it without putting down the other game system. Just a thought. Anyway, I'm going to lean back now. So yes, my final thoughts on the Spearhead Age of Sigmar. I'm very excited. This is going to be my regular Wednesday event at my local game store. I look forward to playing many more games of this. I look forward to playing more games of 2,000 points of 4th edition. I haven't gotten a game in yet. I'm very excited. I'm going to play with my Flesh Eater Courts. It at least is my plan right now. But honestly, the rules look so much more fun, all the different combos. It seems like there's actually going to be a lot of different builds out there. There's going to be a good amount of list diversity out there because of the multiple formations per faction. So we're going to get a longer breadth and a longer life to the game, which I think is incredible. But if you like this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe down in the comments below. Please let me know if you're interested in Spearhead, if you're giving it a try, and if you are giving it a try, what faction you're giving it a try with, or which faction are you thinking of? Just let me know. It's right down there. It's right down there. Just give me some feedback. I love seeing your comments. I love seeing your likes. This is a great time to be in the hobby. We are in a golden age of miniatures. We have a lot of different games. We have a lot of different systems. We have a lot of incredible miniatures. This is beautiful. This is my serotonin. This is my dopamine drip. Between my therapy appointments on Mondays, this is how I keep it going. Like, share, subscribe, and of course, if you do anything today, just do me a favor and go paint something.